It is just a touch after 5 p.m. on a beautiful Monday afternoon. Welcome to another exciting edition of what promises to be an eye-opening show of Tenfold Live. My name is Sibusiso, and I'm absolutely excited to be with you on another program where we're going to be paying attention to statistics. On today's program, we're going to be helping you guys to figure out how do you work with what we call data handling, right? This show, remember, is proudly brought to you by Liberty. So a special shout out goes out to Liberty for giving us the opportunity to share all these awesome ideas that we have around mathematics on today's show. Remember, guys, if you also want access to awesome content that will help you to build your basics up when it comes to the things that you work on, particularly on concepts that rely heavily on things that happened either in grade 10 or grade 11, just go to your app store. If you haven't done so, go to your app store and look for our app, which we call the Tenfold Education app. On this app, you'll get access to incredible content such as videos that will help you to build yourself up, to beef up yourself when it comes to the foundation and the basics that you might have that you need assistance with. So if you have this app, if you haven't downloaded it, it gives you the opportunity to watch videos that will give you the theory. In addition, you can actually use this app to send questions to us directly by clicking on the options there. There's actually a list of options. If you click on that, one of the options is the tutor option. On that option, you can get the opportunity to send us either a photo, or if you don't want to do that, you can send us a short video, or you can even type the question out. However you like, send it to us, and then we will receive and help you to understand how do we work on that. All you need to do is just watch out whatever the topic we could be focusing on in that particular week. Like on this particular week, we are focusing on data handling, which is statistics. So questions on that, send them through to us. You can also send them via the Mindset Facebook page on www.facebook.com/MindsetTV. If you do that, then we will also do those questions. So thanks to all of you who have sent your questions. Remember, you stand a chance to win awesome prizes if you do that. So without any waste of time, let's get on with the program. We're going to be doing stats. Remember, when you're dealing with stats, this is for grade 12s, but grade 11s can also join because the work that we are focusing on here relies also on the grade 11 concepts. For example, there's questions that are going to be based on what we call ungrouped data. The information you had to work on that involves the mean, the mode, the median, the box and whisker plot, the 5-number summary, the range, all those kinds of things, the standard deviation. Those are very important techniques and concepts that we want you to be good at. So we're going to definitely get questions on those. In addition, there's what we call grouped data, where we analyze grouped data drawing a histogram, which you can also use to have a frequency polygon. You can also even use that for interesting things such as the cumulative frequency curve. So these questions I see here that you sent to us revolve around those concepts. But in addition, there's something beautiful that might be new to you, particularly if you're a matriculant. You're going to be analyzing what we call bivariate data, looking at concepts that engage comparison of two sets of data, where we'll be trying to analyze and see if anyone affects the other one. The independent variable has any impact or effect on the dependent variable. So we're going to be looking at all those. It's going to be a very exciting show. Remember, tell anybody who's not watching right now that they're missing. Let them know that we are up and running and they're losing on the opportunity to multiply their content coverage tenfold and beyond. Right, let's have fun. Let's have fun, guys. So the first question that we're going to look at comes from Elaine Mampuru. And it's a nice question. If I look at it, it's about a situation where we're comparing. We've got the frequency and we've got the amount of money that people paid. So let's read the story so that we've got a better understanding of what is going on here. The question reads as follows. It says, a survey was conducted among 100 people about the amount that they paid on a monthly basis for their cell phone contracts. So people do take cell phones on contracts. Maybe you're required to pay 50 rands a month for a certain period of time. Maybe you're required to pay 120, 300, depending, of course, on the phone that you are using. Right. The story continues and says to us here, the person carrying out the survey calculated the estimated mean to be 309 rands per month. Unfortunately, he lost some of the data thereafter. Okay, that's a bad thing. So the partial results of the survey are shown in the frequency table below. Now, this frequency table is actually a very important thing that you need to understand before you even start working with it. First of all, on the left column, we've got the amount of money that people paid in rent. And on the right column, we've got the frequency. The frequency just tells you the total number of people that paid within that particular range. For example, in the first class from 0 to 100, the people who paid money, right, who paid between 0 rands and 100 rands were 7 in total. And those who paid between 100 rand and 200 rands were 12 in total. Those who paid between 200 rands and 300, we don't know how many they were, and then the story continues and so on and so on. So what you need to understand is we don't really know the actual amount that these people paid. There are 7 people here, right? 7 fellows here. There are actually 7 people that paid money, and all these people paid money between 0 rands and 100 rands. Probably this one paid 60 rands and this one paid 40 rands. We don't know how much they paid. So that's the problem that we normally have when we're dealing with grouped data. You don't have the actual values that were really involved in that particular survey. But it's not a problem. We can still have fun in analyzing this kind of a problem. It's beautiful, and it's important for us to understand what it's saying to us. So those who paid between 100 rands and 200 were 12 in total. 12 people paid amount between 100 rands and 200. We don't know how much they paid. Maybe they all paid 120, maybe some paid 110 rands, while others paid 190. We don't know, but within that class, we have 12 people in total. All right, so let's look at the first question. The first question asks us a very beautiful thing. It says to us, how many people paid 200 rands or less, right? How many people, right, paid 200 rands or less? How many people paid 200 or less? So we are interested in the number of people that paid 200 rands or less. Now, if you look at what we have, the first class, we already know for a fact that the number of people who paid between 0 rands and 100 rands were 7. So those people would be people that paid less than 200 rands. And then those who paid between 100 and 200, including 200, you should see the inequality there by 200 tells you that it's inclusive of 200 rands, right? Those who paid between 100 and 200 were 12 in total. Anybody after that was paying more than 200 rands, like the people in the third class. People in this class here paid 200 and something rands, more than 200. We are only interested in those that paid 200 or less. And you should agree with me that the people who paid 200 or less will only be in these 2 classes. If you add that together, you're simply going to end up with a value of exactly 19 people. So 19 people are the ones that paid an amount of 200 rands or less. Very simple question, but it's important for you to understand what is going on so that you can be able to find the solution without a problem. Right, moving right along to the second question. The second question is asking us to use the information above to find, right? Use the information above to show that A is equal to 24 and B is equal to 16. So we need to show, we are required to show that A is equal to 24 and B is equal to 16. All right. Now, there's a lot of techniques we can use in attempting to find the value of A and the value of B. But the biggest mistake you can ever do is take A as 24 and B as 16 and try to substitute them back into the table and try to prove that when you add all those values, you'll end up with 100. When we ask you to prove something, you can't use it. You need to use other techniques to find a solution that is going to look like what we are asking you to show. So never, it doesn't matter where you are in math, when we say prove something, you can't use what we're asking you to prove. It's like we're saying, calculate this, the answer is going to be that. So don't use it. Work your work out, and then your answer is going to look like whatever we're asking you. So I must show A is 24 and B is 16, but I can't use that. So I'm going to pretend like I don't know what they are in my attempt to solve this. Right. So let's go back to the love letter and analyze what is going on here. We were told that in this survey, 100 people participated in this survey. So we know for a fact that we had 100 people that participated. That means when you sum up the 7 plus 12 plus A plus these 35 guys here, plus these people here, plus these 6 people, all those people there must sum up to exactly 100. The total of all of them must amount to 100. So I'm going to start and write that, and that's going to be my first equation because I feel like this is going to lead us to simultaneous equations. So we know that 100 people participated. That means when you have 7 people, you add them to 12 people, you add A people, you add 35 people, you add B people, and then you add 6 people. All these guys that participated in the survey must amount to 100 in total. Now then you go and fetch your calculator, which is an instrument, not a monument, so you should use it. And then I'm going to add all the values. So I'm going to add 7 with 12, and then I'm adding that with 35, and I'm also adding that with 6 because those are ones that we can add. We end up with 60. So on the left-hand side of my equation, I am left with A here, right? And I am left with B here, and the sum of all these numbers comes out as 60, and this must amount to 100. That means if I make one variable the subject of the formula, I can say my A is going to be 40 minus B. This is me preparing myself for simultaneous equations. If you take out 60 on both sides of the equation, you're going to get 40, and when you subtract B on both sides, you're going to have minus B. So that's what I'm getting from the first equation, right? Then I'm going to go back and try to check something else that we were given in the love letter. We were also told that the estimated mean is 309 per month, right? The estimated mean is 300 rands per month, 309 rands to be exact. Now, the mean, the calculation of the mean, we all know that when you work out the sum of all scores and you divide by the total number of the values that you have, you're going to end up with the mean, the arithmetic mean. So the sum of all the individual scores divided by how many they are will give you the mean. But when we're talking about the estimated mean, it becomes a problem. You're not summing individual values. It will not be 7 plus 12 plus 8 plus 35 and so on, right? We know for a fact, this is very important, guys. The numbers that are between 0 and 100, there were 7 people that paid money between 0 and 100. But we don't know how many paid how much and how many paid how much. So what we do is we do a terrible thing, which is to estimate. So we estimate and say, we're going to assume that everyone in the first class was paying 50 rands, right? You take the median of the endpoints of each class, right? So we call those the midpoints, right? The mid values. Let me call them the mid values, right? Right. So between 0 and 100, midway, you're going to have 50 rands. So I'm actually making a terrible assumption of assuming that everybody who was surveyed, who paid money between 0 and 100 rand, paid 50 rands. And then in the second class, those who paid between 100 and 200, we don't know how much they paid, those 12 guys. So I'm going to assume that each one of them was paying 150 rand. And then for the next one, we're assuming that each one of them paid 250, and then in the next class, 350, and then 450, and then in the last class, I'm assuming that every one of those 6 people was paying 550 rands, right? Now, because we are looking at the estimated mean, it means I can then say there are 7 people that were each paying 50 rands, and there were 12 people that were paying 150 rands, and there were 8 people that were paying 250, and so on, and so on, and so on. Right, so that's essentially what is going on. Now, I'm going to start adding those numbers. I want to add 50 plus 50 plus 50 plus 50 plus 57 times, and then I'm going to add 150 12 times, and so on and so on. So that is going to lead me to a very interesting situation. So my estimated mean, I'm going to write this. My estimated mean is the sum, but not sum of the values, but the sum of the frequencies multiplied by the values divided by how many values we're actually dealing with here. So we were told that the estimated mean is 309. The sum of the frequencies, let's go look at what we have. We know for a fact that we've got 50 rands appearing 7 times. We've got 150 rands appearing 12 times, and so on and so on. So let's see what the equation is going to look like. So we're going to have 50 multiplied by 7. That needs to be added with 150 multiplied by 12. That has to be added with A multiplied by the value there, which is 250. Let's keep the consistency. The amount of people that paid 250. So 250 was paid by A people. And then we also know that 350 rands was paid by 35 people. And then we also know from the table that 450 rands was paid by B people. And we also know that 550 rands was paid by exactly 6 people. So let's just make sure that it's clear and everybody can see. So 550 rands was paid by 6 people. And all those values, right, needs to be divided, right? All that sum that I'm going to get from that must be divided by the total number of the people that participated in the survey. So if you apply simple cross multiplication, you get the product of 309 multiplied by 100, you're going to end up with 3,900, right? So it's going to be 3,900. So 3,900 is equal to, now I'm going to work out the values of the product of 50 and 7, those ones that I can compute, these ones, because they are computable since they are all numbers. And let's get the value of what those things are going to be. So what am I talking about? I want to know what is 50 multiplied by 7, added with, we want to know what is 150 multiplied by 12, right? And we can't multiply 250 and a, it will remain 250a, right? So which means that part will just be 250a without any concerns. So I'm just simply going to say that's going to be 250a. Even the b part is going to be plus 450b plus. So all the ones that have got values on them, I'm just attempting to compute them. We already have 50 times 7, 150 times 12. We're now looking for plus something exciting, which is 350 times 35. And then we are also going to work out the value of 550. So we need to add on this. 550 multiplied by 6, folks. So what do you get? You get 17,700. That's what you're ending up with. So all those give me 17,700. Okay, cool. Then from here, it's just a matter of trying to solve for A and B simultaneously. So I'm going to subtract 17,700 on both sides, right? Which is as good as saying take this one to the left. It's obviously going to change and become a negative. So which means I want to say 30900 minus the previous answer that we got. We end up with 13200. So we've got 132,100 equals to 250. So for A, I'm going to replace A with equation 1. Remember from equation 1, A is 40 minus B. So I'm going to write my A as 40 minus B. This must be added with 450B, right? And then you just simplify this by just making your B the subject to the formula. So we're going to come in here, and we're also going to come in here by multiplication. We are going to end up with 13200 equals to 250 multiplied by 40. That should be a nice round number, 10,000 if I'm not mistaken. 250 times 40 gives us 10,000, okay? So we've got 10 grand here. And then minus 250b, we add that with 450b, and then after that, the difference between 450 and 250 is going to give us something exciting. And then when you subtract 10,000 on both sides, on the left-hand side, you're going to end up with just 3,200 equals to 450 minus 250. That should be very easy, guys. Minus 250 is going to give us 200 of those b's. So you've got 200 b's. You divide both sides by 200. And then your 3200 divided by 200 leaves you with an answer of exactly 16. So our B value ends up being exactly 16. If B is 16, what is the A value going to be? So if you're looking for A, just go back to equation 1. Remember, equation 1 says A is 40 minus B. So I'm going to come back here and say my A is going to be 40 minus 16. So when you take 40 and you subtract 16, indeed, you do end up with 24. So we're getting an answer of 24. Beautiful stuff. So we did indeed prove that the value of A is 24 and B is 16. So I'm going to come back here and upgrade my diagram because we now know what A is and we know what the value of B is. So this number here is 24 and this number here is just simply 16. The next question says we need to now write down the modal class, right? The modal class is the class with the most entries. You know from ungrouped data that mode is the most frequent or the most common score, the number that appears the most, right? If there's 2 of them, you're going to code 2 of them. So now in this case, we're looking for the class with the most entries. Let's go back and check in our diagram. So you will see that the first class has got 7 entries, 7 people. In the second class, we've got 12 people. In the third class, we've got 24. So the class with the highest number of entries is definitely going to be the class 300 up to 400. So that will be my solution. So you're looking for the modal class. So I'm going to say the modal class. In this case, modal class is going to be the class between 400, right, and 300 rand, because that class has got 35 people in total. So more people are paying between 300 and 400 rand in this case. Okay, cool. Now the next question is an exciting question that is asking us to draw a cumulative frequency curve. So this is number 4. They say we need to draw a cumulative frequency curve. Draw an ogive or an ogive, depending on how you spell it, right? This is the cumulative frequency curve, right? So for us to be able to draw the cumulative frequency curve, we obviously need to have the cumulative frequency column so that we can be able to draw that against the amount of money that people paid. So let's go back to our table and quickly see what we can do as far as this is concerned. So with your allowance, I'm going to remove the stuff we've worked with. So I'm going to remove this to avoid confusing you guys so that you can focus on what matters. So we want to draw the cumulative frequency curve or the OGIV. For us to be able to draw that, we're going to need to have the cumulative, right, frequency column. We need to have the cumulative frequency in our table here. So we're going to extend this table, and then we want to find the cumulative frequency. The cumulative frequency is just the running total. So which means it's the total as you keep moving and you keep adding more and more people. When we start with 7 people. So we're going to have 7 people here in the beginning. Now, if you consider the fact that we now have 12 more people because of the next class, you just simply add this with that. So 7 plus 12 is going to give you 19 for the next particular row, right? And then after that, we're simply going to continue adding and adding and adding until we get to the end. So the cumulative frequency is the running total of the people you're dealing with. You start with 7, you add 12 more people, you end up with 19. You add 24 on that, you're going to have 43. So we're going to have 43 people in total up to so far. On that 43, you're going to have to add 35. When you add 35, you get 78. So I'm going to have 78 here. And then after that, I'm going to have to add 16. So I'm adding 16 to the next number. I'm getting 94. And when you add 6 on 94, you should end up with 100. And seeing 100 is exciting for me because we were told that we've got 100 people participating in this survey. So the total number that you get at the end of your cumulative frequency tells you how many people participated in total in this particular survey. So I've got 7 people and I add more and I keep adding and I keep adding more people and new people and new people. Eventually I'm going to end up with the total people that participated in this survey. So we've got 100 of them. Very exciting. Right, so now we're going to use this information to plot or to draw the cumulative frequency curve. What do you actually draw against what? Well, you will always draw this values, right, as your x values against the cumulative frequency values as your y values. So you're going to plot 100 versus 7, you'll plot 200 versus 19, and 300 versus 43. So let's go and try to construct. Of course, in the exam, they give you the graph paper for this. So I'm going to just try and be an artist here and see if I can plot quickly a nice graph for you to see what is going on. So let's just say, for example, we're going to have this versus that, right? On the y-axis, this is where we're going to have our cumulative frequency. I'm going to make it go in increments of 20. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yours is going to be more accurate. So I've got 20 here. I've got 40. Actually, we are dealing with, yes. And then we've got 60 people, and we've got 80 people, and we've got 100 people. So this is the cumulative frequency section. And then on the x-axis, we're going to definitely have the amount of money that people paid. So we're moving from 0. This is 100. This is 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. I might even put 700, which is not necessary, but we know that the total amount ended at, it ended at 600. So 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. We don't need 700, but I'm just going to put it there. So this is the amount of people, the amount of money paid, amount paid in rents. This is the amount of money that people paid in rents. You always put the independent variable, right, on the x-axis all the time. Frequency and cumulative frequency will always be on the y-axis. All right, let's plot them. Let's plot. So what are we plotting against what? Let's go back to the diagram. We're going to plot 100 against 7, right? We're going to have to plot 100 against 7. Let me just indicate for you to see. 100 against 7, and then 200 against 19. Okay, 100 against 7. Let's go and find 100. We can see where 100 is. We need to plot that against 7. So 7 is somewhere there. And then 200 must be plotted against 19. 19 hasn't really passed 20 as well. So 107, 200 as well as 19. And then let's go back and find out the next number is going to be 300 against 43 and 400 against 78. So 343 and then the other one with 78. 300 against 43, so there's 300, 43 somewhere there. And then this one against 78, 78 you go up, it's very close to 80, so it's going to be there. And then 500, we're going to plot 500 against 94. 500 against 94, so 500 against 94 will be somewhere there. And then lastly, 600 against 100, excuse me, is going to give us that point there, right? Yours is going to be more accurate if you've got a graph paper, so it's going to be much nicer. The important thing is when you join these dots, they're going to form a nice lazy shape, like a lazy S of some sort. That is much nicer than what I have on the board, right? So most of you leave it here. You guys need to always ground your graph. You always need to make sure that your cumulative frequency curve is grounded on the x-axis. Where do you ground it? You don't always ground it to 0. You ground it at the very first value that you have on your classes. So the reason why I'm going to ground mine at 0 is not because of the fact that 0 is the starting value on the graph. No. It is because when you go back to the stuff that was given to us, the smallest possible number that you guys can see that the smallest possible number that we have is 0. That is why I'm going to ground my cumulative frequency curve at 0. So let's go and put it exactly at 0. So I'm going to drive it to there, and this is going to be a perfect organ or perfect ogive, depending on how you want to pronounce it. So this is the graph of what we're looking for. Remember, we need to always have a heading of each graph that you're working with. So this is actually how you would draw the cumulative frequency curve. Right. The last question is an exciting question. Right. This one is exciting because a lot of people struggle to work out the solution to this. It says to us here, how many people, we need to find how many people, right? How many people paid something. What did they pay? More than 420, not 240, but 420 rands. How many people paid more than 420 rands? Right. So how do you figure out this? How many people paid more than 420? So you go to your cumulative frequency curve, you locate where 420 rands is located. So 420 is going to definitely be on the x-axis. Now, after finding 420, there's 450 halfway. So my 420, I'm going to estimate it to be there. Then I'm going to go up to the graph and try to figure out this 420 corresponds to how many people on the y-axis. So if you come back here and you come back nicely, what am I getting? Well, I'm getting a value here that apparently looks like 82. We're going to accept this. Remember, it's an estimation, so they will allow you to have these kinds of estimations. So I'm getting that 420 rands, right? 420 corresponds to 82. Now, the examiner is asking you, how many people paid more than that? Obviously, people that paid more than 420 are going to be on the right-hand side of 420. They are the people who paid 430, 440, 500, all the way up to 600, right? So there are people that are above 420. So it means when I come here, I'm looking for the people that are above this number of 82. And you will agree with me that they are the people that are lying between 100 and 82. So those people that I'm looking for are just going to be 100 minus 82. I just want to know how many people are there from 82 all the way to 100, the group that is there. So 82 subtracted from 100, when you do 100, you subtract 82, you end up with an answer of 18. So 18 people in total are the ones that basically paid an amount that is more than 420 rands. A beautiful question indeed. I hope it has helped you to understand how to work with grouped data, particularly the cumulative frequency curve, and I hope you have a much better understanding of what is going on with this.